Hello students, welcome to answer writing program. Today we are going to discuss 3 questions. These are taken from the GS3 environment section. The topics are conservation, environmental pollution and degradation, environmental impact assessment. Let us have an overview of our questions. So our first question is taken from the topic of carrying capacity. The second question is taken from the topic trophic levels in an ecosystem. And the third question is taken from the topic environmental migration. Let's start with our first question. So the first question is, what is the carrying capacity of an ecosystem? Using examples from India, elaborate on the impacts of breach of carrying capacity. So here the first part of the question is asking about the concept of carrying capacity for an ecosystem, and in the second part we have to explain the example with respect to specifically India where the breach of carrying capacity is happening. Okay, so before starting the question, before attempting the question, let us just try to understand what carrying capacity of an ecosystem is. Okay, let us suppose this is an ecosystem and this ecosystem is capable of supporting 100 individuals of a particular species. Okay, so now the resources are available such as food, water, shelter is available for the different species, different population of a species. Now what will happen if the population will increase to 150? The ecosystem will try to fulfill the requirement of the species, but after a certain point of time the population supported by this ecosystem will not be sustainable. The ecosystem will not be able to sustainably support the population, and then it will breach the carrying capacity of the ecosystem. So that is the concept of the carrying capacity. Let us come to our question and try to understand it, how we are going to approach it. So here for this particular question, the introduction would be defining the concept of carrying capacity. What is carrying capacity? It refers to the maximum population size, which we have seen just now, maximum population size of a species that a given ecosystem can sustainably support over a long term without degradation of the environment. Because see here, if the number of population of the species will increase, it would not be able to sustainably support. And what will happen? The competition among the species will get started. The competition among the individual will get started, which will again convert into the exploitation of the resources. So that is why it is very important to maintain the carrying capacity of the ecosystem. So we can define it. Now let's come to the body part. Okay, so here in body we have to explain the concept related to the carrying capacity of an ecosystem. Okay, so what are the different factors influence the carrying capacity? So first of all, the availability of the resources. For example, food, water, shelter. The more the resources will be available in ecosystem, it would be able to sustainably support the population. That is why the different kind of ecosystems have different kind of carrying capacity. If we see the rainforest or the mangrove or the coral, it is having larger carrying capacity because it is having the abundance of food, water and shelter, while the desert ecosystem might not be able to sustain that much population. Okay, that is why it is very much dependent on the natural resource availability. Waste absorption, that is again an important point, because the ecosystem is also capable of regenerating its resources. After certain point of time, once the resources get reduced, it will try to absorb the waste and also try to regenerate its resources. That is why it's important for an ecosystem, and its capability are dependent on waste absorption and regeneration of the resources. Let us try to understand this with this concept. There is a concept. For example, this is an ecosystem and this is the population and this is the time. So once the ecosystem is established, the population will start increasing. Okay, after one particular point of time, the population will not be increased because ecosystem is not capable of sustaining the need of the population, and it will start into this kind of stabilization. Okay, so this particular ecosystem is having limited resources, so it can fulfill the requirement of a number of individual. Okay, number of individual of a species, and this stabilization is known as stable equilibrium. Okay, what will happen? See, in this particular ecosystem, whatever natural resources are available, if in abundance are available, it is capable of catering the need of a large amount of population. If less resources are available, as we have seen, then less population can be supported. Okay, but after certain point of time, if population again increases, it won't be able to sustainably support the population, and then the over exploitation of the resources will get started. Also, the population will not be healthy because the disease will be spread among the population. Also, because of the competition among the species, because of the natural resources, the population will further reduce at this point of time. So that is the concept of the carrying capacity of an ecosystem, which we have understood by the graph. So we have already seen how waste absorption is an important point for regenerating the resources. The third one is environmental condition. Okay, it is also dependent on the environmental conditions such as climate, soil, fertility, and presence of predator and competitors. So different kind of factors also contribute into the carrying capacity. Also, we have seen the environmental conditions also impact the carrying capacity. Let us try to understand how. The factors such as climate, soil, fertility, and presence of predator and competitors in an ecosystem provide some kind of specific condition for the ecosystem. Try to understand, nowadays human population is getting increased. That is why the divergence of forest land into the other activities for the other activities is happening, so that the forest ecosystem is now not capable of sustaining the population which lies into the forest. Also, the climate induced changes is hampering the carrying capacities. So these are the examples. Also, the divergence of forest land for agriculture purposes is also impacting the carrying capacity, because of agriculture, the quality of water, quality of soil is getting impacted. So these all factors, environmental factor along with the anthropogenic reasons, are impacting the carrying capacities. Also, the population dynamics is an important aspect for the carrying capacity, because through carrying capacity we can understand population and how the interaction between different organism and ecosystem is happening. We can understand it. So that's again an important factor which contributed by the carrying capacity of an ecosystem. Now, there is also an important aspect with respect to carrying capacity we have to understand is overshoot. What is overshoot? We have seen here till one point the population was supported by the ecosystem, but after one point of time when the population get increased, the ecosystem is not capable of sustaining the population, and this point was known as the overshoot. This particular point is known as the overshoot. Now let us try to understand what is it. When a population exceeds the carrying capacity of its environment, may lead to resource depletion, because competition will be there, and that is why the water resource, food resource will get reduced, and habitat destruction will also happen, and competition for limited resources will happen, and because of this ultimately population will decline or collapse. And this is often known as by the name overshoot, because it has very negative impact for both species and ecosystem as a whole. We have seen it is having negative impact for ecosystem because overexploitation of resources is happening. Also, ecosystem is not able to sustain the population. That's why the number of individual will get reduced. So that is the carrying capacity. The significance of carrying capacity for an ecosystem is, let us try to understand the second part of the body, which is the second part of the question, breach of carrying capacity, with example from India. So we have to specifically provide example with respect to India. Okay, so see, first of all, try to understand what is breach of carrying capacity. It is nothing but the carrying capacity is impacted in such a way due to the population increase, or the quality of the ecosystem get reduced because of the breach is happening to the carrying capacity. Now the ecosystem is not capable of sustaining the population in a healthier way, which it was doing earlier. So that is nothing but breach of carrying capacity. Now let us see what kind of example we can see in India. Okay, so the first one is water resources, depletion of water resources, because if we see 60% of India's aquifers are in critical or over exploited state according to Central Groundwater Report of 2022. Why? Because see, for agriculture purposes also the exploitation of water resources are happening. Also the population burden over the urban areas is again exploiting the water resources. We can see the example of the Yamuna river, which because of the over exploitation it is getting dried up more often. The second one will be urbanization and land use. We have seen more and more urbanization is happening, and because of this the land use diversion is also happening. For agriculture purposes we are diverging land use. Also for the residential purpose the forest and delicate ecosystem is getting impacted. So that is why we can see according to such stats, it is expected that the urban population will expected to reach around 600 million by 2030 in India. And Chennai urban flood due to the encroachment, faulty drainage system is an example how natural ecosystem when get impacted can result into the events like urban flood, which is occurring every year in Chennai and surrounding. The third one is loss of forest due to the diversion of forest land. See, we have just now discussed about the land is diverted due to the agriculture activities also, due to the urban settlement also, and for the developmental projects also. So for example, we can see the Mumbai RA forest is diverted for the other developmental activities, which is going to cost a lot, because in terms of environment if we see, it is going to cost a lot because a lot of trees has to be cut down, and which is causing again, which is an example of breach of carrying capacity. Now environment or the ecosystem will not be able to support it, because the forest work as a lung of the world. Now they are not going to now it is not going to capable to do the same. The next one is loss of biodiversity, because the forests are cutting down, the water resources are getting exploited. That is why the diversity which was available in abundance earlier is again getting reduced. So that is also an example of breach of diversity, breach of carrying capacity. Also the air pollution is increased. Around 21 Indian cities are world's most populated cities. Okay, and we can see this phenomena of smog in Delhi whenever the winters comes. So that is why the healthy population now cannot be sustained in these polluted cities. The lung and respiratory diseases are happening, which is again an example of the breach of carrying capacity in India. And the last one is coastal ecosystem. The fragile coastal ecosystems are getting impacted negatively due to the rise of the sea level. We can see the Sundarbans, where the mangrove forest of India are available. The sea level rise is hampering the population of Royal Bengal tiger. So these all are the visible example of the breach of carrying capacity in India. Now come to the conclusion part. Now discuss the conclusion part. So what we can write down in conclusion? We can write down the importance of the carrying capacity of an ecosystem and how the sustainable practices can improve the same. So we can see these activities like deforestation, coastal erosion, these all are happening, and we have to ensure our carrying capacity is not getting negatively impacted. We should try to promote the sustainable practices, for example, sustainable agriculture, climate smart agriculture, precision agriculture. Along with it, we have to invest into the green infrastructure, electric vehicle, so that the emission which is reducing the carrying capacity could be reduced. Also, we can promote the green infrastructure in our country, and also we can indulge into the international agreements such as Paris Climate Agreement and Sustainable Development Goals, which ensure further a sustainable future not for India only but for the entire world. Now let us go through the model answer quickly. So what we have written: carrying capacity of an ecosystem which is dependent on natural resources availability, water absorption, etc. And how breach of carrying capacity we can see in India through different examples: water resource depletion, urbanization, loss of biodiversity, coastal ecosystem erosion. Now let us discuss our second question. The second question is saying, explain the concept of trophic levels in an ecosystem. How do interaction among biotic components such as producer, consumer and decomposers contribute to the stability of these level? Okay, so the first part is asking about the concept of trophic level in an ecosystem. So we have to explain what trophic level is, and in the second part of the question we have to discuss the interaction among the biotic components such as producer, consumer and decomposers contributing the stability of the different levels. Okay, so briefly just try to understand what trophic level is, and then we'll start our answer. See, if we see this pyramid, at the bottom of the pyramids comes the producers, okay, and then the consumer, primary consumer, secondary consumer and tertiary consumer. Okay, so here and here these are the different levels. This is the primary level, so this is nothing but the producer level. Okay, for example, green grasses, plants, they all come into the level of the producers. After producers, there comes the primary consumers such as herbivores, which are consuming energy which is created by the plants, and then comes the secondary consumers, which are nothing but omnivores or the carnivores, and then come the top predators, which is known as the tertiary consumer. So here, and decomposition happens at each level. Okay, the dead plants, they will be consumed by decomposition, then again for the consumer, secondary consumer, so decomposition happen at each level. Okay, now try to understand the trophic level. Within each level, if suppose 100 energy is there, the 10% of the energy, only 10% of the energy will be transferred from one level to another level. Okay, this is the food chain, nothing but the food chain. 10% energy means the 100 units will be, out of 100 units, only 10 units will be transferred. Again, only 10% and only 10%, which is 1. So the 90% energy is getting lost in this the process. Now this transfer of energy or this segregation of the level of consumer and the producer and the decomposition is nothing but known as the trophic level. So this is the trophic level, one trophic level. This is the second trophic level. Okay, and the combination of this is known as nothing but the trophic levels. Okay, so this is trophic level. Now let's just try to understand our question, how we are going to deal with it when we have understood the concept. So here in this particular question, the first part is asking about explaining the concept of trophic level for an ecosystem. Okay, so first of all, we are going to, in the introduction, we are going to define trophic level. Trophic levels represent the hierarchical level of food chain in ecosystem, which just now we have seen, where organisms are grouped based on their main source of nutrition and position of energy process. Okay, so based on the nutrition and position of energy, which we have seen, energy is transferred from different level to different level. So they are arranged based on that, and there is a typically three main trophic levels: producer, consumer and decomposer. So we have seen the introduction. Now let us come to the body part. So in the first part of body, we are going to explain the concept of trophic levels. Okay, so what it is, there are different levels we are having. The first one is of producer, the second one is of consumer, and the third one is of decomposer. Okay, so the first part is of producer, which is capable of converting solar energy into the energy such as chemical energy with the help of photosynthesis. Okay, so here we have plants, algae and certain bacteria which is capable of doing this. Okay, these are the organisms which are coming at the bottom of the trophic levels. After that we have consumers. So we have three type of consumers, and these are what are the consumers? Which are consuming energy from the other. Okay, so we have primary consumers, secondary consumers and tertiary consumer. For example, we can see this food chain. Herbivores like rabbit feeding on grass are primary producers. Carnivores like foxes preying on rabbits are the secondary consumers, while the top predator here, which is eagle, would be coming as the tertiary consumer. So these are the different consumers we are having. And after that we have decomposers such as bacteria and fungi, which can convert leaves and dead animals in forest into the inorganic substance again. Like suppose there is some plant or animal, dead animal, it will do the decomposition and the material will convert again into the material like nitrogen, phosphorus, carbon, etc. So this particular material will get used by the plants again. Now let us come to the second part of the body where we are going to explain how interaction among biotic components are ensuring stability. Okay, so how it is ensuring stability? By ensuring the energy transfer, because energy is transferred through the food chain from one level to another level, and this flow of energy is helpful to maintain the trophic level structure. Okay, this is ensuring the stability by ensuring this energy structure into the trophic levels. The second important part is they are ensuring the nutrient cycle. For example, the essential elements like carbon, nitrogen and phosphorus are recycled. Whenever there is a decomposition, then the dead organic material will get converted into the carbon, nitrogen and phosphorus, and this again will be used by plants for doing photosynthesis when they will take the nutrients from the soil. The third important point is it ensures the population control, because see, try to understand, if one particular species the population of one particular species will get increased, it might result into the instability of an ecosystem. For example, suppose there are some herbivores and these are consuming the grass. Okay, now let us try to understand, if the population of tiger which is dependent on some of the herbivores, if the population of tiger is getting reduced or the consumer which is dependent on these herbivores is getting reduced, what will happen? The population of herbivores will get increased, which will result into the over exploitation of the vegetation in that particular ecosystem. So that is why it is important to control the population, and this is happening with the help of delicate level of tropics which are interacting with each other and ensuring the stability of an ecosystem. So it is ensuring, as we have seen, this is ensuring the stability of an ecosystem, because the change in one level may have cascading effect, which we have just now seen, which may have cascading effect for the other level. If the population in one particular level is getting reduced or decreased, it will result into the cascading effect for the other trophic levels. Okay, and it is also ensuring the biodiversity, because see, a healthy ecosystem is that one which is having the diverse variety, which is having richness in terms of biodiversity, and the interaction among the different species, interaction among the different trophic levels ensure the same. If an healthy ecosystem is there, it will get ensured. So it is also an important factor in ensuring the biodiversity of an ecosystem. Now come to the conclusion. Here we can write down the importance, or we can also write down what intervention we can do to promote a healthy and delicate balance of trophics. See, first of all, what it is, how it is important, because the interaction among biotic components in different trophic levels are vital for energy flow, nutrient cycling and population regulation. Thus, it is ensuring the overall stability of an ecosystem, and the healthy practices, the sustainable practices should be promoted so that this delicate balance should not get hampered. And how we can do it? The anthropogenic activities, or the activities which are reducing the population of one particular species, or the practices which are reducing the forest environment or the grassland on which the species are surviving is getting impacted, then the overall impact would be there on the other species. That is why we have to ensure a sustainable development for ensuring the same. So now let us go through the model answer. Here in model answer, what we have done, we have defined the term trophic levels, and then we have given the concept in detail. What is producer, consumer with example, and then we have explained the interaction, why interactions are important, and how it is ensuring the stability of an ecosystem through energy transfer, nutrient cycling, ensuring the biodiversity, etc. Now come to the third question. The third question is saying, increasing environmental migration is a tangible reality and is expected to grow in the coming year. in this context, analyze the impact of the rising environmental migration in India and also outline the measures India should take to effectively control the challenges. Let us first try to understand the demand of the question. The question is saying, we have recently seen the environmental migration is happening in the India also, across the globe also. So in this context, we have to analyze how it is impacting the country India and what are the measures or the steps Indian government should take so that we can handle this challenge. Okay, so then we can confront this challenge. That is the demand of the question. Let us briefly try to understand why environmental migration is increasing. Okay, why environmental migration is visible now across the globe. See, first of all, this term environmental migration is a broader umbrella term which may include migration because of environmental activities, which might be climate change, which might be degradation of environment, which might be the natural hazard. So whatever environmental activities which is causing the migration is known as the environmental migration, and this migration could be within the country also and outside the country also. Okay, so when a migration is happening within the country, intra-migration, and inter-country, then it would be known as the refugee. We use the term as refugee. Climate refugee is the term which we use for the migration. So this is the concept of environmental migration. Now, for these kind of questions, we need to have some of the data or stats. Okay, because see, environmental migration is happening because we have seen the South Pacific islands are vulnerable due to the climate change, and the sea level rise is causing them to relocate to the other parts of the world. Also in India, the coastal communities are getting vulnerable. Okay, so this migration may be of temporary nature also, or of the permanent nature also. Okay, so this migration might be temporary, permanent, it might be within the country, outside the country. So that is the concept of environmental migration. Let us come to the introduction part of the body. Here in this question, we can define the term environmental migration and we can provide some of the data in our introduction. So according to International Organization of Migration, it is referred as a movement of a person or group of person because of they are migrating because of the reason of sudden or progressive change in the environment that adversely impacting their lives and living condition, and this may be temporarily, permanently within the state or across our international borders. So this is the definition of IOM. And according to the UNHRC, around 32 millions were forced to displaced due to the environmental related activity in the year 2022, and there has been 41% increment into the level of migration. Okay, so this will provide a holistic introduction for your answer. Now come to the body part. Here in the first part of the body, we need to discuss the events of the environmental migration, how it is impacting the India, and the second part will be discussing what measures India should undertake. Okay, so impact of migration, environmental migration in India, a large number of displacement events. So see, displacement and migration is not new. It's been happening because of the better economic opportunity, because of the livelihood, people were moving from one place to another. But now it is happening on a mass scale. A large number of people are forced to go from one place to another in search of better livelihood opportunity, also to secure their life and their well-beings. So that is why, for example, we can see there is a term ghost village, because in Himalaya and the other regions of India, we have seen entire villages being vacated due to the environment induced difficulties. Okay, so these people are forced to move because those places were not habitable enough for those people. Also, it is causing agriculture related challenges because with respect to, if we see, the climate change is happening, the extreme weather events are happening, which is causing difficulty for the people to do the agriculture, and that is why the people from those areas are moving to the urban center or the centers which are more secure for life and livelihood. And this is causing food insecurity into the nation, because agriculture challenge is there on one hand, the people are migrating from those areas, also the agriculture productivity is getting reduced, and it is causing food insecurity for the people of country. Also, lack of urban infrastructure. So this influx of the people from the rural area or the places where the environmental changes are happening, our influx of the people is happening to the urban centers. Okay, and these urban sectors are lacking in infrastructure. There is no proper shelters available for those people. That is why they are living in a very bad conditions, such as slums and other areas which are lacking the sanitation facilities. So the lack of infrastructure is there. The quality of life is getting compromised. Also, there is a stress of natural resources, because people are concentrated on a small pockets of the country, and which is exploiting the resources of that particular area and causing frequent disease also, because sanitation facilities is not available in those urban centers. The social conflicts are also getting increased, because the new people and the older people living in those places are coming across into the tensions and causing tension among the different societies of the people living over there. It is also causing biodiversity, loss of biodiversity, because when a place is not having proper area for living, the forest related to the forest land will be diverted for other purposes, and thus the biodiversity will get lost. Also, India is having another issue related to the proximity to Bangladesh, because we have to understand the Sundarban Delta of Bangladesh is one of the highest risk area, and it is estimated that 150 to 120 million climate refugee might migrate to India, because we have seen the incidence of migration from Bangladesh earlier also, and which in Assam and other area, which resulted into the social conflict and internal security related issues in India. And now, due to the climate, there is a threat that influx of the people from Bangladesh may come, which again may cause social conflict into the different states of India, and it may become a threat to the internal security of the nation. Now let us come to the second part of the body. So what are the measures India have taken, or India should take? The agriculture resilience. We should develop a resilience structure for the agriculture. For example, we should get indulged into the drought resistant crops such as millet, which can be cultivated into the rain deficit regions. The second one would be livelihood support. We should provide the livelihood for those people who are coming from the vulnerable regions and are not having livelihood in those areas, such as we can provide through the PDS and NREGA. So we can provide food security through the measures such as PDS, and we can provide livelihood by MNREGA like scheme. We have to indulge into the more resilient infrastructure. For example, we have started Climate Smart National Smart Cities Mission, National Disaster Response Fund. These will ensure if some disaster is there, then this fund can be used for those areas. Also, we need to have a sound refugee policy framework. As of now, we do not have any refugee policy with respect to the climate migrants. So we have to think about it so that we can properly plan some policy or framework if at all in future India get this kind of influx of the people. Also, we have to get indulged into the international cooperation, because international cooperation will ensure the fund and the infrastructure availability for the developing country like India. And also, we should promote the sustainable practices such as Paris Agreement, which can reduce the greenhouse gas emission and the impact of the global warming and climate change, and ultimately the migration in India. Now come to the conclusion part. So see, this particular topic needs a global effort, immediate global effort. Why it is in need? So in conclusion, we can write down the global effort is required to establish an international framework and recognized definition, because as of now we do not have a recognized definition of the climate migration, climate induced or environment induced migration. So we need to have a definition so that we can provide some mechanism related to it, so that we can provide the protection of the individuals. And if at all we need to relocate, we should have a proper mechanism, because we have to understand this environmental migration is a threat multiplier, because it is linked with the multiple issues like poverty, malnutrition, hunger, unemployment, social tension, etc. So if the environmental migration will get induced, it will induce the other problem. Also, the global nations, the West should take the responsibility, because they are historically responsible for the greenhouse gas emission. During the industrial revolution, they used their resources and exploited, which caused the greenhouse gas emissions. So they owe a debt to the developing nations such as India. So they should come forward and fulfill their responsibility along with the developing nation, and provide the provide the infrastructure to face the challenges of the migration due to the climate change. Now come to the model answers. So here we have given a holistic introduction by providing data and definition. And in impact of environmental migration, we have seen large number of displacement event is happening in India. Agriculture challenges there, thus food insecurity. Frequent disease outbreak will be happening because climate change is increasing the risk of the disease outbreak. This migration again enhancing or increasing the occurrence of the disease outbreak. Social conflicts, proximity to Bangladesh, thus we can have the influx of the population from neighboring country. And then what measures India should take? Agriculture resilience, more resilience infrastructure, smart cities, green infrastructure, more resilient infrastructure for fighting against the climate change, international cooperation, and holistic conclusion by providing the importance of the global player in solving the issue. So that was the discussion for today. Thank you very much. Have a great day.